Thanks for choosing ArcTrio TV, and you're here with your host, Azuya. Today's Let's Read podcast is an introduction to help you discover some pretty tragic manga. If you're looking for something to make you go, what the fuck, you've come to the right place. Just buckle up your seatbelts and let's get started. Today's 6 choices of manga is in no particular order, they're just random. That being said, here's number 1. 141108. Though I don't know if this is how the title is supposed to be said, the title confused me as much as the story confused me. But that's okay, because it all gets figured out in the end. We've started our tragic adventures strong with this one-shot. The story starts off by introducing the main character in the hospital after an accident. And everything kinda goes downhill the more you flip the pages of the story. Without giving too much away, I just want to say this is a nice read if you're looking for something short, something to pass the time, and something that will give you a plot twist. Trigger warning though, the manga does talk about suicide. There's actually images as well, so if you want to just avoid that, then definitely by all means you can probably go on Google and look for what the story is about. But it did give me a plot twist that I wasn't expecting based off the little sort of misleading content they give you at the beginning, so it was kind of nice to know that there was a plot twist in something like that, and it did, I would say, grab my interest. Number 2. Shoujo Fujibun, or Imperfect Girl. Now, I didn't really finish this one yet. I did start, and I've left off at, I guess chapter 5. It is finished, it's not ongoing. It's just I wanted to try to grasp other manga at the same time to figure out what I have time to read and what I'm interested in. Don't get me wrong though, this is actually pretty interesting. The manga takes place where you kind of follow the life of the main character, obviously, and he's on his bike just minding his own business until he actually sees something tragic. The main character catches eye on 2 little girls. One of them happened to be playing a video game and the other one just minding her own business. Now as they cross the street, the one who wasn't playing video games gets hit by a truck. But wait, her friend doesn't even acknowledge her dead friend until after saving her video game? What the actual fuck? It isn't until after she puts her video game away in her backpack that she runs crying to her dead friend. And unfortunately for the main character, this girl has witnessed him catching her in this act. And oh boy, would I love to tell you guys that it ends here, but it really doesn't end here. The story continues where this guy's life is now entangled with this middle schooler, and he doesn't really have much of an option or much of a say in anything that he wants to do. So, holding off on the story there without spoiling anything, you definitely should check it out if you're down for some mystery. What happens to the main character? Does he get killed off? Is he gonna be friends with this little girl? Is everything gonna be happy and okay? Or is everything just gonna be a completely spiral of many fucked up things? Number 3. U12, or Under 12. Unfortunately, this is still an ongoing manga, and the problem is, I've only seen 2 chapters, and I'm hoping that there's gonna be more sometime soon. But after taking some time researching and googling things, I've only seen it last update last year in January. Me hoping that it's just because there's raw content and no one has the time to, I guess, translate it into English. All the other chapters are kinda hidden away in the secret land known as Japan. Nonetheless, this is some really fucked up shit. Disclaimer, if you're not interested in, I guess, subtle rape or murder, bloodish scenes, gore, I guess. There's not that much gore, but it could be gory. This probably isn't the story for you. The story is about 12 young girls who now lost their human rights. Please don't question me on how this works because I don't understand it. I just went with the flow. Girls live pretty happily for a few days until they are given their first order. Girls are let out of the locked room that they have been and enter a prison of many scary big men who have either tortured, raped, or murdered little kids, especially little girls. And these 12 girls are now put up to the test where they can only escape when they pleased 12 of the members in the prison. Hold on, I know you're all thinking, what the fuck is wrong with you, Azuya? This is some fucked up shit. I don't even want to give it a chance. Just hear me out. Now, even though it says that the girls have to please or obey 12 of these random prisoners, they didn't really say how or what they need to do or if there was another way out. Turns out that in the prison there was 13 girls. One of them happened to be there for a very long time and has already seen, witnessed, and done all of these things, expecting to be free. And after the new girls have met the first prisoner, they all run for their lives, leaving this 13th girl behind, and obviously one of them has a very kind heart and says, "No, we need to go save her." And so she turns back, but the girl's already dead, and she happens to be the next victim of this prisoner. But fear not, White Knights, she is saved by one of the 12 tiny girls. The prisoner is assassinated by one of the 12-year-olds with a recorder? Okay, you can't tell me that's not kind of cool. I feel like this manga is actually promising and brings a lot of cool action and nice details, but unfortunately, like I said before, I've only seen 2 chapters released in English. So if you happen to seem to enjoy something like this and find any more, definitely hit me up because I do want to continue reading it and I do want to see how it ends. And if it just so happens to be that it's not translated and it's only in Japanese, then for sure I will try my best to grab a hold of one of the hard copies and see if I can translate it for anyone who is interested. Number 4. Shonen Shoujo, or Ill Boy, Ill Girl. Now, if anyone has read Koi no Katachi, this manga slightly reminded me of it because of the blurred faces. It's a story about a boy who happens to believe that the world is all the same and no one is individual, so he wants to be nothing more than, I guess, unique and something for someone to remember. Boy finds out that he's ill and the illness will kill him by the age of 12, and the only wish he has is for the illness to be named after him as he dies. But as he's being overjoyed for being unique, he ends up meeting the other person who's also under the same illness and happens to be older, which means of course she will be dying first. And because of that, he feels as if he is no longer unique, and for some reason, plot twist, he feels like he needs to kill the girl before the illness does. And for anyone who's interested in the Monogatari series, this is actually created by the same creator. Now I've made my way through, I guess, about chapter 6, and boy, they delivered. I was actually impressed with the amount of things they've thrown at us and how the story has progressed, and it's not slow whatsoever. The story is finished and it doesn't give me chills, but it does put me on edge to figure out what is going to happen when it ends. Number 5. Symbiotism. Now I feel like I said the title wrong, but that's how it looks like it's written and that's how I'm going to read it. Now this is an ongoing manga and it's relatively new, so don't expect it to update super duper fast, but there is 6 chapters out and it did grasp my attention. It's about a little girl who carried a virus. She's the last surviving person who had this virus, and now she is trying to pretty much live among everyone else as a normal human being, but she is traumatized by all the things that have happened to her back in the testing lab when she was born. Though unfortunately I don't really have much to say about this manga. It was interesting, the art style was cute, and you can kind of get a sense of what's going on between the first few chapters. I felt pretty relatable to the main character because through what she's experienced and what she's been through, she's a bit antisocial and she doesn't know how to socialize with people, and I happen to be in the same boat, but I'm learning to get over it, and I do hope for the main character to be able to learn how to adapt to these things, how to socialize, how to mingle with everyone, and to get a social life or a normal life for herself. But one can only hope when the manga happens to fall under tragedy, so you don't know how it's going to end or where it's going to go, but I do hope to see some developments and see something going on when new chapters get released. Number 6. Now this one is super duper crazy. I think it needs a disclaimer. I also think it needs a trigger warning because yes, that's just how fucked up it is. On top of that, if it gives you any hints, this manga actually, I think it got released in Faku. So that kind of helps. Obviously, this is an 18 plus / mature manga. That being said, this is one of the true mangas that really stick to tragedy because as it goes on, it really does not get better. This manga is finished, and yes, there is a place to read it besides Faku because we all know that Faku has changed where you need to pay for the manga now. But there is a site where you can read the full manga. That being said, if you're not interested in obviously sex-related mangas, if you're not interested in seeing things such as, rape, drug abuse, literally just abuse in general with sexual activity, this is definitely not a manga for you and should probably stay away from it because trust me, it just does not get better. This manga was actually one of the first that made me go, why did I continue reading this? And it just happens to be that I'm one of those people who need to finish something after they started. So now that you've gotten yourselves a huge warning as to what this is, you can either pause the video here and be like, hey, I got 5 good suggestions, let me just stick to that, or you can continue listening to figure out what this number 6 is. The title is called Metamorphosis. It is by Shindo L, and I don't think I've ever heard this artist before, and if I did, it's probably because I don't really pay attention to artists or creators when I read manga, but it was definitely a unique story. It's about your average nerdy girl who enters high school being a little bit jealous and a little bit envious of all the pretty girls around her. She pretty much gets a makeover by asking her mom how to use makeup, and now she gets this new image where she carries it to her school the next day, and everybody loves her for being the pretty cute girl. She goes on a date with some guy who ends up giving her a date rape drug, and obviously things escalated as they go to the karaoke bar together. So, as you can tell, the story kind of just goes on to a big spiral of very unhappy events. It was a little hard to read knowing that the story does take place in prostitution and it kind of goes on from that, and it just goes really far deep into a lot of sad things. And if you want to figure out what it is, then definitely go read it. If you're just curious or if you are into that stuff, then yeah, it's something you should read. But do take warning that it does hit tragedy in a very hard spot, and it stays that way continuously down the line. And I did get upset. I kind of just ignored the factors of the sexual activity that took place in this, but everything else kind of did make me upset. It kind of just bothered me a little bit, and I was like, ugh, I hope this isn't really happening in real life, but you never know. But that being said, this is the 6th manga in tragedy that I have read recently that I feel would stand out to anyone who is looking forward to something to read or just are interested in reading things such as tragedy. And if you want a listing again, the first one was 141108, the second one was Shoujo Fujibun, the third one is U12, the fourth one is Shonen Shoujo, and the 5th one is Symbiotism, and the last one obviously is Metamorphosis by Shindo L. And the reason why I have to give you the artist is because there is another manga named after or with the same name, so it might seem confusing, but this one is from Shindo L. Well, thanks for listening to the first podcast on ArcTrio TV, and I hope to see you guys next time for some more Let's Read. See you guys later.